Hi, Mr. Hall here with today's lesson before the Trojan War. So we've learned about the Minoans. The people on Crete were the earliest Greeks who did a lot of trade and bull leaping and all that stuff. Who else is in Greece around that time, or who's next up to be dominant? Because if there's a big volcano that wrecks everything, a big earthquake, seismical activity that wipes things out, who's going to take over next? And that would be the Mycenaeans. First, there were the Minoans, then the Mycenaeans. Can you explain how the ancient Greeks developed? It's going to be around trade, overcoming the agon of their landscapes, their geography, everything is going to be something that they find a way to have an advantage of. So here goes your textbook reading. And then after this video, there'll be questions, and then this stuff will eventually be on the test. So you can read this on your own, or I'm going to read it to you. Mountains and seas. Greece was the first civilization to develop in Europe and the westernmost part of Asia along the coast of Turkey. In other early civilizations, people first settled in river valleys that had rich soil, cradle of civilization, right? Greek civilization began in an area dominated by mountains and seas. If you flew over this region today, you would see rugged landscapes and beautiful seas. The Greek mainland is a southern part of Europe's Balkan Peninsula, the peninsula, body of land with water on three sides. Far to the east of the Greek mainland is another peninsula called Anatolia. Today you'd call it Turkey. The Romans called it Asia Minor. Between these two lands, the areas are dazzling blue in the waters of the Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea is a subset of the larger Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea is where we've been trading and sailing around on, but now we're seeing the Greeks develop in the Aegean Sea, on the islands of the Aegean Sea. And they kind of look like stepping stones to go from one spot to the next spot to the next spot. And there we are. Sparta, farthest in the south. Are you wondering why we don't have a city-state from Crete? And can you now say it's because of the volcano, because of the seismical activity? And then the next answer to that is because this city-state, Mycenae, is going to rise up and dominate the area, dominate the Minoans. And so that's why we don't have one. And then you say, well, Mr. Hall, why aren't we having a Mycenaean city-state if they were so dominant? Because they're the ones that started Athens. Athens is the Mycenaeans. And there's Corinth and Thebes and Delphi. Argos is next to Mycenae. Megara is next to Corinth. And all these little islands. So if we can look closely enough at a little horseshoe island, that's the one for Santorini, and that's where the volcano was. So we love the bull leaping. Why did they have these dolphins? Why was there a dolphin room? You know, what we're doing here is being an archaeologist. We've got to be like Heinrich Schliemann. Heinrich Schliemann was an archaeologist. He would come to this dolphin room and he would say, wow, this is an incredible place. And it wasn't Heinrich Schliemann, it was the other archaeologist, Sir Arthur Evans. You're an archaeologist now. Why did they have a dolphin room in the Minoan Palace? Does this happen all the time? Is this cool? Blue waters? Did we not just read that the waters are so blue and the dolphins are just like swimming along with you? This is the dolphins in Greece with Poseidon charters. This is so add this to your list if you have some time to go see the beautiful blue water and the dolphins swimming with you. And that's cool. Let's look for more archaeological evidence to support the way the Greeks develop. How did the Greeks develop? How did the ancient Mycenaeans come to dominate this area? Definitely going to be trading next to the dolphins on their ships, trading a lot of olive oil. They have so much surplus olive oil. It's pretty pricey, at $10 a liter or whatever. The good stuff would be like $20 a liter. The really good stuff, you can go much higher than that. So with the Mycenaeans able to take over that olive oil business and dominate the Minoans on Crete and help the advancements of themselves and all the other city-states, because they're all going to be trading and all going to be benefiting. So let's find out more about what a city-state looks like in ancient Mycenae. Heinrich Schliemann. What did he discover about palaces? He came to this site. He came to a lot of sites. Heinrich Schliemann was looking for Troy, the epic story that's next up. We're going to have epic story time. Ancient Troy, when Helen, the beautiful queen of Menelaus, Sparta, the Spartan queen Helen, gets trapped in this thing and the Trojan War happens, like a world war. So Heinrich Schliemann had always wondered, where is it? And where is Mycenae? And where is Sparta? He wanted to find all these places. How did the Mycenaeans gain this power and become important before the Trojan War? Around 2000 BC, the Mycenaeans left their homeland in Central Asia. They moved into mainland Greece. There they gradually mixed with local people and set up several kingdoms. That was around the time of Egypt and Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And people might have traded olive oil on ships with the Egyptians around that time. Little was known about the Mycenaeans until the late 1800s. That was when a German archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann, everyone say Heinrich Schliemann, discovered the ruins of a palace in Mycenae. He named the people of this civilization the Mycenaeans. Each Mycenaean king lived in a palace that was built on this hill that is like, you all have hills, the strategic citadel hill. Thick stone walls circled the palace and protected the kingdom's people. The nobles lived outside the walls on large farms called estates. Have you heard of estates? That's a new word. It comes up a lot this year. So nice house, lots of farmland, kind of a wealthier estate. The workers and enslaved people who farmed the land lived in villages on these large estates. Mycenaean palaces were centers of government. Kind of like that Minoan palace we saw, the labyrinth, labyrinthos. Labyrinthos means house of the double axe. And now we use that word because it means maze. But these palaces here are similar, but not as big and epic. They might have had some nice decorations inside because artisans there inside made leather goods, clothing, jars for wine, jars for olive oil. Other workers made swords and oxhide shields. Government officials recorded the wealth of the kingdom's residents. They also collected wheat and livestock and some other word there that's for taxes. I don't really need, I guess. Too many mouse over. Honey, Greek honey. I still have this much Greek honey left. Honey tastes different based on where you let the bees get their pollen. So the pollen that the bees get in Delphi, that's where I got my honey. The last time, the Delphi honey was kind of like a pine tree, like an evergreen tree. So Heinrich Schliemann wanted to dig up these. So these are just old pictures of what people were hearing in the late 1800s when Heinrich Schliemann was finding these ancient places. He did find Troy. So we'll get into Troy because that's next. He found Troy on this hill, and it looks a lot like Mycenae. So what you see about Mycenae is also very similar to Troy, but this is Mycenae. This is the gate of Mycenae, the Lion's Gate that shepherds used to just rest under. They didn't realize it would be some epic thing, but look at it. I mean, how is this not epic? From 4,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, the Lion's Gate, these two lions. Why with the lions? Lions on the coins, lions on the gates. And look at the size of these stones. How could you ever move those stones? Those things are tons, like 5 cars heavy, 10 cars heavy. Some of them are heavier than 20 or 30 cars. And how would they even get those into their position for these city walls? And look at the gold that Heinrich Schliemann found. This is fancy stuff. This is archaeology. So our next step, like, let's just take notice. Like, when you're an archaeologist and you're digging all this stuff up, what does it tell you about the people? What does it tell you about the people, the civilizations? So this is standing inside of Mycenae, looking out at the rugged landscape and looking down at the various parts of the palace and the citadel and all the walls and all the construction from 4,000, 3,500 years ago. Heinrich Schliemann found this really nice gold mask. And the first thing everybody said was, oh, it's from the epic tomb that's very close to the citadel. Look at the size of this tomb that had a dome in it. The first ever dome in the world is right inside. And that must be a gold burial mask of Agamemnon, the brother of Menelaus. Menelaus, the king of Sparta, who had a beautiful wife named Helen. And Helen got kidnapped by the Trojans, or did she just run off with one of the Trojan princes on her own, not kidnapped? Well, Agamemnon's the guy. Is that really his mask? Archaeologists and people are not so sure, but they are sure that these walls are gigantic and that this is a great example, a really amazing example of an ancient city and their ancient gate, and how that is the way they defended themselves. The Minoan traders from Crete visited the Greek mainland. Gradually, the Mycenaeans adopted features of Minoan culture. The Greeks, early Greeks, cultural diffusion. They built ships, worked with bronze. They used the sun and stars to navigate the sea. The Mycenaeans also worshipped the earth mother Gaia and the Minoans' chief god. So religion is developing and shared culture. But by the mid-1400s, the Mycenaeans had conquered the Minoans and controlled the Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea right down here. There's Mycenae, Aegean Sea, Crete, the palace, the Labyrinthos. And so then what does this Bronze Age map suggest to us? Like, if you're an archaeologist and you're saying, look at these routes, trade routes perhaps. This is bringing new wealth to the Mycenaeans, which they used to expand their military strength. The Mycenaeans were proud of their military success in the Trojan War. Spoiler alert. We're going to give into more detail about that. But the Mycenaeans were strong enough, and there's so few people in the world back then, that they are leaving archaeological evidence. So next up, I'll be showing you some of this evidence and see if you can figure out, what would it tell? What does it say about a civilization advanced enough to make a citadel like this? So here's a good map of the citadel. That circular grave area that you actually just saw, and we were standing in this little walkway and some residences. And here's our tour guide, Sophia. She's the one that told us, don't go up on the mount. Don't go up on the Acro Corinth. It's got snakes. She always got mad at me because I wanted to go up there, and we went. Anyway, and we never got bit by snakes, but she's pointing out the size of these stones, solid stones. And how could you ever move stones this large to be put into a wall? And they call them Cyclopean stones. Cyclopean. What is Cyclopean? And why would they call them that? Cyclopean. Because look at that wall. It's just gigantic and huge, and it's built perfectly into the hill as defense. There's a nice aerial shot of the hill and the Cyclopean walls. Why is it called Cyclopean? There's all those olive trees, so many olive trees all over the place, everywhere. Ugh, what is this? A one-eyed beast? What do you call a one-eyed beast? Cyclops. Cyclopean walls are put together by the Cyclops. What do you do when you can't understand something? What do you do when you can't explain something? You make up a myth about it. And this strong wall, our question this whole time is like, how did these people develop? Well, they're developing because they're smart enough to make these walls and move the rocks into place. And if they had to hire a bunch of Cyclops to do it, what is this? It looks like a one-eyed skeleton. A one-eyed skeleton. What beast is this? Is it a cyclops? Or can you think of another beast that would have a skeleton, a skull like this? Could the elephants have helped? Could they have brought elephants? Are they finding elephant skulls in the area? And did they use elephants that they traded from Egypt? Egypt and Africa would have had elephants, and they would have traded them to help build that. I would like for you to explore and be an archaeologist just like these kids that were on the field trip in 2014. So this is linked in the agenda inside the slideshow. And these are some of the Grizel kids and Jerome kids. Most people that go on the field trip are after 7th grade, after 8th grade, after 9th grade. So there's Ben Virant. We're about to give him the camera along with Cole Witt. And they're going to run around and explore. They're going to run around and explore the Citadel sites. And you can hear some of what Sophia's saying. So I would like you to just watch this video, relax this video. We'll have some game questions about this video. Oh, Heinrich Schliemann, she just said it. There's a big disappointment at the end of the video. If you make it all the way to the end, the very best part, we've got a little bit of audio, but my battery ran out. So would you just enjoy this video and take some time? Trade. Archaeological evidence of trade and where the Trojan War happened. We've got a lot of shipwrecks. So maybe the best evidence of trade is when the shipwrecks are filled with these copper ingots, because copper ingots were maybe even used like $50 bills, but copper could definitely be mixed with tin and made into bronze. But with the shipwrecks and the evidence that we see and all of the trade that was going on in these ancient times, we understand that maybe trade was the reason for the Trojan War. Was it really the girl? Was it really the beautiful Helen? Or was it the Mycenaeans wanting to dominate? They dominated the Minoans. They want to keep dominating. And Troy is way over there. They want to dominate all these places. They're sending out little colonies. There's Greek colonies going out and developing Greek culture and Greek trade, just like the Phoenicians. And that is going to spread Greek influence. There's Delphi, the center of the world. And just like they said, this map, they're right in the center. But look at all these places. Look at all these Greek colonies and places where the Greeks want to trade with. So do you have to dominate everybody, Mycenae? Or are you going to try to just dominate all these other Greek city-states? Well, the story of Helen is going to help unite the Greek city-states. The story of Helen is going to help launch them on 1,000 ships and invade Troy as they try to dominate trade. Lost that video. I'm going to end this video here because the next part of this, we're going to be looking at some of these rare Greek discoveries, like Greek coins minted in Sicily, which shows you evidence of colonies. And we'll pick up here live. And thank you for answering a few questions on this chapter 7.1. So we've now fully read that. And next up, Trojan War. Thanks, everybody. I hope this lesson and me reading you the text has helped. 20 minutes, the new longest video. But hey, it's less than 40 minutes. So use the other 20 minutes of your lesson to explore the video like Ben Virant and Cole Witt when they explored ancient Mycenae. Have a great day.